the most accurate prediction for the fight Alexander Volkanovski versus Henry Cejudo. Let's go.
All right, gentlemen, we've been over the rules. Protect yourself at all times. Follow my instructions. We're going to keep it clean. Touch gloves. Let's do it.
Recently, Alexander Volkanovski tried to take the lightweight belt and become a double champion. But alas, he did not succeed and he was left with only one belt. Now he needs to be protected. Recently, Henry Cejudo has become more active and began to call Alex at every opportunity. How do you like that? Hello Fighters with You MMA Predictions channel. In this video, we will analyze the fight between Alex Volkanovski and another short fighter Henry Cejudo. But before starting this video, do not forget to subscribe to the channel and like it so that as many fans as possible can see this video. Alex Volkanovski, for the first time in a long time, has won over several thousand fans, although he lost his last fight, but respect is given to him twice as much as Islam. Alexander is the first fighter who was able to compete with Makhachev. It seemed that at one point he could finish, but no, the fight came to a decision where Volkanovski lost. But in fact, he did not lose anything. The featherweight belt with him, the first line of pandas for pound, is also surprisingly behind him. The only thing that Islam took away from him was a streak of victories, and everything else is still controlled by the Wolf. Now he is one of the best fighters in history. His hype has grown more than ever. People recognize this war, and as long as there is an opportunity to take loud fights in order to promote his name, one of them is a fight with Henry Cejudo. Although Triple C is retired, he still challenges the Australian to a fight. At least once a week he mentions his name. And in principle, Cejudo can be understood if he wins. He will be the first who was able to win belts in 3 weight categories at once. Such an achievement will forever perpetuate the name of Henry Cejudo, and he will be really respected. Otherwise, now most of the fans only grin when Henry challenges Alex to fight. Cejudo is not some kind of passing fighter. In his lifetime, he defeated many worthy fighters, including Demetrius Johnson, Marlon Maries, who was at his peak, T.J. Dillashaw. In general, Henry is not an ordinary. He backs up words with deeds, and if he calls a fighter to a fight, then he is sure that he will easily pass it. We briefly remembered the past of the fighters, and now let's move on to the analysis of this great confrontation. Who will be able to write his name in history? In this video, we will try to disassemble everything to the smallest detail in order to find out. Percussive style. Well, let's start with the Wolf, especially since we have something to discuss. In the last fight, Volkanovski showed significant problems in the stand. Makhachev looked head and shoulders above Alex in exchanges, although initially it seemed that in such episodes it would be better for him. Perhaps the factor of underestimation played a role. I do not hide it. Judging by the last fight, the Wolf really showed himself from the worst side. But if you remember his fights before that, you can understand that Alexander is really a monster in this topic. He competently reduces the distance and enters with a series of accurate blows to the head. In some moments in a duel against Islam, the Wolf hit, but not as often as we would like. We also learned that the Wolf is good at hitting. In the 5th round, after one of the missed legs, Islam went on a spree. I think you remember this moment. So in addition to the bad episodes, we also noticed new advantages of the great. Now let's move on to Henry. He has not been performing for a long time, and I can only evaluate his boxing skills until 2020, and in the yard for a minute 23. If he goes to fight, then his downtime will be about 3 years, during which time he forgot all his skills, as I'm sure. But let's imagine for a few moments that everything is okay with his skills, and they have remained at the same level. If we judge just such a Henry, then I would immediately like to note both the quick hands and also the knockout force, Cejudo was able to knock down such famous fighters as Marlon Moraes and T.J. Dillashaw. Henry also likes to work in the clinch, smashing his opponent there with his knees on the body. Due to his low stature, it is easier for him to hit than his rivals. Since he always tries not to be noticeable, to shoot from different angles, his rivals simply do not keep up with him. But there is one thing, Cejudo is only 5 centimeters lower than the Wolf. This is not such a big difference, and as we understand it, the Triple C will no longer have such an advantage as in his other fights. As for the favorite, of course I will choose a more active and also superior in skills Alex. He shows from fight to fight that he does not stand still and improves. Playing from below. Let's move on to wrestling skills, and this time we'll start with Cejudo. As we know, he is an Olympic champion in wrestling, and brilliantly Henry transferred his skills to mixed martial arts. His fight in some fights really helped him. For example, the same fight against Moraes. In some episodes he rested and recovered while in a dominant position. In general, I can't say that Cejudo is a fierce wrestler. He often spends his fights in a standing position and can hold a takedown too during a fight, and so Cejudo is used to figuring it out on his hands. But if he decided to transfer you, then you will 100% be on the surface, including the walk. I think Henry is capable of making a throw. Alex has been translated more than once by less experienced wrestlers, and here, after all, is an Olympic champion who even caused problems for Demetrius. Now let's move on to Alex's wrestling skills. In the fight against Islam, we all saw with our own eyes, the Wolf is really good in this aspect. He didn't just defend, he even tried to make a translation himself. You understand how confident Alex is in his fight. And as I said, he's at the peak of his form now, and every aspect of his fight is a real challenge. We knew before that Wolf was alright with the fight, but after the fight with Makhachev, we were convinced that it was. But there is one thing, Alex is still easy to translate, and in some moments he can quickly get up. But everything is smooth. If Cejudo can hold a takedown, then he is unlikely to let the Australian get up, since they are the same in size. Both can be said to be small, and getting up from under a fighter of similar dimensions is not an easy task. But still, I will choose Alex Volkanovski as a favorite, since we saw his fight against the second number of pandas for pound, and there we were convinced that the Wolf is dangerous in the fight. Cardio spirit. As for endurance, Alexander breathes better than anyone else, at least in his division. Just look at the same fight against Islam. He was already tired at the end. In general, Makhachev was tired of a lot, but the walk was not. He was only gaining momentum and was many times much fresher than Islam. So we don't have to doubt Alex's breathing, but we should think about Cejudo's stamina, because firstly, he did not perform for a long time in principle. Before his completion, he did not show cool episodes with his gas tank, so we have nothing to evaluate. In any case, Alex breathes Cejudo, so the Wolf will be the favorite unanimously. As for the spirit, then I will believe more in Henry, since he goes for the third belt, and he will have a little more motivation to win. Forecast. I think that Alexander Volkanovski will win this fight by technical knockout in round 3, but my prediction will be just that. I think Cejudo has long lost his skills, and he is unlikely to be able to restore them. The future of fighters. After defeating Cejudo, Alex will raise his already small excitement even more and continue to conquer the peaks. Perhaps he will try to break into the lightweight division one more time. As for Henry, he will leave, and this time completely. He will understand that he is no longer pulling competition.